Hello, we're going to embark on a new assignment here, a project. So this is going to take us 3 modules, and we don't want to overthink this because we are essentially doing the same thing we've done multiple times now. So we are going to give out some requirements for this project, and we need to follow those, but we are essentially going to make a top-down map. And we are going to repeat what we've learned before with the top-down map, make it better, add reference images, think about shapes, line work, however you want to create that top-down map. Even if it's a schematic with good text describing how it all flows together, general shapes. And then we're going to make another white block out, and we're going to make sure we add a little bit more description, a little bit more level detail, so that we have props in there. We start understanding spaces a little bit better. And we're going to have some goals that are predetermined, just like in a professional setup. So the map or our assignment will require a walkthrough top-down map, which we've both done. The walk down, which we're looking at right here, is from Module 1. And should be uploaded again. You could use the same template. I would recommend using it. We're going to make another top-down map. It has to be in third person only. Has to be of an action-adventure genre, so that general feeling of roaming through the level in third person. We need an interior and an exterior section. The final goal of the level and the mission is to find the ancient crypt, so that's important. So we're going to want some environmental challenges like some navigation and platforming. We're going to have a little bit of puzzle elements. And when we say puzzle elements, that gets scary really quick. We have to keep that simple and clearly communicate to the player what we want them to do, and we can just stub it in with text and some very simple things. We'll avoid anything that sends us down the rabbit hole and sucks up all our time, and we get confused on how to make enemy AI and how to make turrets and how to make the Death Star explode. We're not going to do that. You describe it with text. We are going to require some scripting, so you put in at least some conditional progression. I have to do this before this allows me to continue. You need a non-human enemy. Doesn't say you have to fight it. Doesn't say you have to have some sophisticated combat. Some kind of threat represented. And we have a NPC conversation, which is more text and a simple stubbed in NPC that appears at the right time. We talk to that person or whatever that NPC is. We start with a simple walkthrough like this. And my example is called Seed of Evil. And I've pretty much written it up with a little short intro on how Caitlin Palance gets here. And the ultimate goal is to find the Seed of Evil. And part of that goal is obviously to find the crypt. And I go a little bit farther. As we enter the crypt, this is our interior now. We go through there and encounter a couple rooms of puzzles, which never is going to be clearly defined in this white block out. It's going to be very simply represented with simple text and what could happen, as in these ancient symbols should match each other and be moved. Once you go through the crypt, you also talk. One of our requirements is to talk to an NPC, so you can't get to the crypt until we find a name on a gravesite, and that will bring in a cutscene of our NPC. Our name we're finding is Theodore Roswald. I can't even say the name I typed up. The groundskeeper will come out after we find this name and will let us proceed to the next section, which allows us to enter the crypt. And then when we come out of the crypt, we're going to have our non-human enemies, the demon dogs patrolling, which you just avoid. We never even combat them or do anything crazy. And then we start descending down into this giant portal from hell that has opened up. And this descent is our platforming, which is very, very simple. And the game cuts out to a cutscene outro or outro cutscene as you descend down a couple, maybe just a few platforms. Nothing long, nothing tedious, nothing hard. Very simple ending. So this is what was typed up. Now note I've very clearly titled each part so we know what's going on. Then we have details in here to further exaggerate. So we don't need to write a novel, but we do need to describe more, feel like what is the player going to experience, understand the space. So the further along we go in this, you just want to describe more and feel like you understand what the player is going to see and experience, because as you develop the level, you'll kind of get lost, you'll forget those things, and it's good to go back here and read that. And then when it comes to the map, here's the map. Now, the reference images are very important. So, depending on how you draw, how you create this map, you cannot get intimidated and feel like, I don't understand how to draw this, I don't understand how to draw that. So if I was to turn off all of this, I should save. Too late. You can see all the layers of just text and my reference images I brought in. Remember, reference images are not mood. They're not, it's about how to build the level and envision the level better. These are about building the level. This is not about mood and really cool photos of enemies and action shots, that type of thing. Okay, this is for the most part, this is my drawn level. Now this kind of looks okay, but once you add the text and images, boy does it really come together. And as you can see, it's kind of a combination of a top-down, and then I've got a side view of the church, and I have a side view of these graves. And if you think you're intimidated by drawing or something of that sort, it's quite obvious that you can do a whole lot. I need to get to the right layer. I'll add another layer. You could do a whole lot with simple shapes. So that's too dark, so I'm going to change that. But since it's already put together, it kind of might be intimidating. But that's a grave. If you put them together near a building that looks like a church, that's a cross in a grave. The right spacing and putting things together will convince and will clearly communicate to us what this place is. This top-down looks like a bad D&D map without a grid. It's just simple shapes. Note my walls are thick. This is inside the crypt. You can see a side view of the crypt here, side view of the church. So whatever map you need to make, have some confidence, use some subtle text, use shapes to convey to us what's going on here. So now let's put all this back. And now we look at it as a whole. Wow, do the images help. So this is what I envision here for broken down room with the first puzzle. This is this corridor that breaks off in 3 directions. This is the next section, which is harder and we get locked into, and the demonic voices come in and you really feel overwhelmed. This is just a general image of the crypt right here. General image of the forest and how thick and dense and surreal it is. The rock wall as it leads in here. the outside of the church. As you can tell, I copied the shape of this in a very rudimentary way. So this is really helpful to build and envision a level for you and the team. We do not need the map to be a masterpiece. It needs to clearly communicate. That's a really important term. I'm clearly communicating to my team and people are envisioning what we're going to create. That's the important part, because someone needs to take this vision from now to the end. And if you're the level designer, that a lot of that falls on you, as well as your lead and creative director. All right, so that's the first part of it. I didn't get over here to the demon dogs. This is the only fluffy, cool image I have, is these demon dogs that come out after you exit the crypt. Everything else is very much like, this is what it's going to look like. This is how I'm going to build it. This one might be a little bit exaggerated. I don't know how I'll build that. But, you know, I can make simple shapes like this out of block cubes, build a quick wall, obviously build this low poly, the general shapes. All of this can be built and help us picture it. All right, so that's the first part. Follow up what we've continued to do now on multiple assignments. Get a little bit better. Use your text smartly. Let's keep your colors under control, so your text is not blazing pink followed up by purple lines and yellow background. Keep things neutral and make them subtle. It could really help us all understand what's going on. And be sure to use the same walkthrough template. Give us a quick story, fill this out, and sequentially tell us what's happening. And don't forget that this is our ultimate goal. All right, thanks for watching. I hope that helps get us started on our next project.